Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Variety Hour. We're back for the second time this week, and joining me in the studio, the greatest comedian who ever walked the earth, Danny McGinlay. How are you, Danny?
I'm great. I thought you were going to say Francis, and then I would.
Well,
I'm
going to him next.
I'd get to be a great journalist or something.
No, and I also introduced the greatest sports journalist Australians ever seen, and possibly the world, Francis Leach. How are you, Francis?
Oh, good. Thank you, Titus. Thank you, Danny. At least this side of High Street in Titusville, I'm the greatest sports journalist.
Let's call it. I'm going to say the greatest in the world, the greatest in the universe.
There you go.
Take that, Omicron Persei 8.
Now, before we get started, we should thank everyone who came along to the Comedy Festival shows, and Melbourne's done. I've done my Sydney run. Now, Danny, you've got Sydney this weekend. We're recording this on a Thursday. So
Saturday and Sunday at the Wild Oats Wine Bar at Enmore Theatre.
What time does it start? About 3 o'clock? You get locked out at 5 p.m? Everyone go home. Lock your houses.
I just come to your house after 10 p.m. and you lock me in. It's a bit like Taken.
Uber comedy. Imagine that. Oh, what a joke. Just call up Danny McGinlay. Be around 15.
Wouldn't be the first comedian working at Uber. Are you? So you're doing that? You're at Enmore Theatre, but the wine bar there.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, what time are you on?
8:15 Saturday, 7:15 Sunday.
Playing a jazz set in the wine bar?
Why not? I mean, you know, it's
jazz flute.
Let's just say that the Sunday night show is looking a bit like a GWS versus North Melbourne game. So
Sunday night's always hard.
Yeah, we can. I'll just hand some instruments around and we'll do a jam.
Aren't you allowed to be funny on a Sunday night or something?
People don't go out. Not as much.
No, they're freaked out. They're, I've got to work.
They'll come out for you, though, once they hear this podcast.
I hope so.
Queuing down Enmore Road.
I should add that I've got 2 new dates to announce that haven't been announced before. They're only going on sale today.
He's like turning into Bob Dylan on the Endless Tour. Just going to keep on playing.
Well, I'm doing a gig in Melbourne. This is because the last 12 shows of my Comedy Festival run sold out, so we've added an extra show, basically. So Wednesday, 6th of June at the Comics Lounge, 7 p.m. in Melbourne. So if you didn't get a ticket to A Thoroughly Unhelpful History of Australian Sport, you can come along to that. So that should be good. And then I'm also going to take the show over to Adelaide on Thursday, the 7th of June, the Arkaba Hotel at 8 p.m. And that's a fun room to do. So if you're in Adelaide, I'll be coming. So I'll put the link to tickets for Danny and my show in the show notes so people can get. So that should go up. It's Thursday. So once this podcast goes out, they'll both be live. So 6th of June, Melbourne, and 7th of June, Adelaide. Other cities to be announced soon. So what a week we've had.
What a week.
I thought Ross Lyon was in trouble, and then here comes Bomber Thompson.
Off the long run and into the deep end.
And haven't the footy journos got really stuck into him?
Oh, yeah. Can't you feel the opprobrium of the Fifth Estate on this one? Now, if he was nobody from Nowheresville, do you reckon the empathy gap would be a little wider?
Oh.
Do you reckon that maybe if Noddy Nobody was found with that stuff in his house, he'd be a no-good loser trying to ruin the lives of our children, trying to profit off the proceeds of other people's
at
misery?
This stage.
Yes.
But you're spot on, because the media that are reporting on this I've read several times, while they're also hounding him outside his house, saying we've got to respect his mental health, and the dissent's really sad, and poor Bomber, and all these sort of things, and then at the same time, these are people that will campaign against safe injecting rooms or anyone that tries to do rehabilitation instead of sending people into, And
the same sports journalists who rail against the 3 strikes policy in the AFL, which is designed as a preventative health measure to try to manage people's
That's right. You don't humiliate someone on the first, or, you'll try and actually give them help.
Yeah, provide them help and get them understand that the causes of their drug use might be self-medication and a whole range of issues. They're the ones railing against it as the ruin for the sport, and now asking for people to be empathetic to one of their favourite sons who is in that very circumstance. And my problem is not with Mark Thompson on that level, because his case, as you said, has got to go forward to the courts, but it's the rampant hypocrisy within the walled garden of the AFL media, who have selective empathy when it comes, and a very quick short memory when it comes to dealing with these sorts of issues, and protect their own and condemn others, and they can get stuffed. The hypocrisy stinks.
They seem to be pressuring him more and hassling him more during the Essendon drug saga. So it seems like the media is fine if you take the drugs yourself, but if you give them to other people, you've crossed the line there, mate. Crossed the line.
Well, the charges against him, because on Monday's podcast I talked about what they'd found in his house, but now it looks like it was a few hours later they actually charged him. So he's been given bail. They thought he was a flight risk, so it's a 20 grand bail payment, surety, but he's been included with drug offences, including trafficking ecstasy and ice, as well as possessing ecstasy, amphetamines, LSD and Xanax.
Yeah, Xanax is the weird one.
Well, that's without a prescription, is why he's getting charged for that.
He might have had a Ventolin in there as well.
Now, there's not many people who are charged with trafficking ecstasy and ice that you're right that get this level of sort of
empathy.
This sad and terrible. It's a war on ice is killing our kids is the normal approach that people take.
Imagine he was African.
Yeah, well, that's right. Like the African gang story gets more, which has been proven to not in all cases be as accurate as portrayed. So it is a very weird one that gets treated this way. Bomber Thompson, and they said, how have you been, Bomber, when he was returning to his house? He said, not good and pretty down. Yeah, which I think would be the understatement of the year.
How scared would you be as that journalist, though, waiting, to doorstop him? Because, he was pretty prickly in the post-match press conferences, even after a win.
Yeah.
So waiting for him where he's angry and probably coming down.
Yeah.
That's
and he cycled up, and I thought, it's that's not the sort of bikie I was imagining.
Well, I think you thought, if I'm going to be painted as somebody who is quite clearly involved in sport and uses drugs, I might as well look like one, and that will be a professional cyclist.
Exactly.
Too soon?
That's very good.
The weirdest response, though, apart from the hypocrisy, like Mark Robinson's article about my friend Bomber, which almost was tear-stained as you read it. It was like just something else, and because he'd had a smoke with him after the show. But anyone that...
Yeah, but did he say what they smoked?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wondered.
If you smoke ecstasy together, I mean, admittedly, that's quite hard.
Smoking ecstasy?
Yeah, but trust me, I've fallen in love with a lot of strangers.
Well, the other thing, too, is anyone that saw the Bomber Diaries segment last year is not shocked at all about this whole... turn of events.
So has he been high this whole time? Because I've had some pretty good benders. I have never woken up where it's a different decade. There's a bikie living in my house, but there's 2 Jock McHale medals as well. Pretty good night.
The other side to this, which is frustrating and really annoying, is that everyone's saying they're shocked that this circumstance arose, that they can't believe that he's found himself in this circumstance. That is absolute rock-solid gold bullshit. Because having worked inside the AFL media industry for the last 10 years, it was open knowledge that there was an issue.
There was substance abuse. Yeah. Do you think people, though, knew... I think everyone knew there was a substance abuse, but do you think people knew the extent of the drug traffic? I mean, it's all alleged, but, he's found in his room, he's got scales, he's got bags, he's got... significant amounts of various drugs. He's got a safe with info in it. There's wireless bank transfers between him and the bikies and stuff like this.
So organised.
So, I don't know if people knew
tactician.
Do you think the people knew that? Do you think the trafficking's...
No, but the idea that somehow they're shocked that he's found himself in this circumstance is a natural extension for many, many people, and for Nobby Nobody who ends up in this situation we talked about before, is that you become, if you get deeply embroiled in drug use, you often end up being a tool in the drug trade as a way to support your behaviour. So it isn't a surprise. But
what I don't understand is, and not to keep saying allegedly, but assuming, because he could, could all get off.
What will excuse all the baggies and the scales?
Well, it could have been planted on him. Who knows?
It could have been planted, or maybe he started a small electronics business in his Port Melbourne flat, and the bikie was just helping him out.
That's right. So, look, it doesn't look good. I'm not saying that I'm, that's where I come down on. But what I don't get with him is, if that's the case, I would understand the logic at least, even if not the ethics of the morality of getting into drug dealing to support your drug habit. But he's rich. He made $8 million last year in a property deal. So I don't get the having to. I get the,
That's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, because it would have made sense. Okay, if you're, I don't know how much you guys have taken drugs, but I dabbled in my youth, and I reckon nothing would push up the price more.
Are you still considering yourself in your youth?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. But you go to buy the drugs and go, hey, this is really strong. Here, have a taste. And you go, I'm not really feeling anything. Okay, well, you might hallucinate and then get Bomber to walk in and go, well, that guy looks like Bomber Thompson. Mate, there's no one here. But do you want more of the drugs? Yes, please.
I don't know. It is a very odd story in those regards. And the thing I find amazing is considering, it's hard to feel too sorry for someone if they're peddling ice. Is where I find it they're probably crossing the line a little bit here.
Well, the thing, as we know, the court case needs to go forward. He needs his day in court for that to be determined. But I wish that the same principles and values that are applied to the average person, and particularly those who might be of colour or of a different religion, in the mainstream media when they are caught up in these.
So not Noddy Nobody, Akmal Nobody,
Akmal Nobody as well. Were applied in this case, but they're not, because it seems that if you're an Australian sports person, you get a free pass, and in terms of the understanding that's afforded to you.
Doesn't that suggest that you should, if you want to get into the drug industry,
become a
play
professional
AFL
athlete.
first?
Yeah. Or maybe if you are involved in any sort of a crime, that's the best possible way to get yourself a good hearing.
Now we are seeing the true heroism of Luke Beveridge giving up his medal to Bob Murphy. He was saying, hey, mate, go have a bender. Doesn't matter if you get caught, this will get you out.
I don't think Buddy's a good bloke is a defence admissible in law. So
no, unfortunately.
There was a brilliant moment, probably. I'm just imagined that this happened, that an Essendon supporter went, yes, we're not the drug club. Oh, crap, he worked for us too. Because this is all, apparently it all was at his Geelong days, is that? I mean, you just said it was well known within...
His substance abuse problems were well known. I don't think that the drug trafficking stuff was...
No, there was obviously clear indications from a long way out that there were issues in relation to his not turning up for work, his erratic behaviour, his denials that he was using anything, which is an A1 position for any drug user to deny their actual problem. And people openly talked about it within the AFL industry, and yet people
what else is commonly known? What bombshells can you drop here, Francis? What's some other what's some facts? What do you got on
what about the real reason you got sacked from the banner job?
I'm still working on that one.
One thing I find very interesting about this is with the Essendon connection, though, is one of the defences. I've had several people, in the know advance of why Bomber Thompson was fairly innocent over the ASADA rate or the drugs regime there, was that because of some of these issues he's currently going through and substance abuse, he was so rarely turning up or at Essendon.
but the other side of
that's seen as true. Like that, it wasn't that he was necessarily. That was sort of his excuse at the time.
I didn't take the drugs. Why not? I was on drugs.
I had enough of my own. I was off.
But the other side of that is the gross negligence of being in that role and failing in your duty.
I know, but that was sort of his defence of why he was AWOL for most of that time.
He saw those kids taking peptides and he was like, amateurs.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
We should also mention, and I don't know if the name's been announced. You can find this out easily if you go onto social media, but there's a video currently going around of, it's been described as a sex act. It's more just two people naked. It goes for like 2 seconds on social media, which I accidentally clicked on, got quite the surprise this morning. Sorry to the people on the tram. And of an AFL player with a woman, and apparently the woman filmed it, and this player is engaged and sent it to, it's an ex-AFL player, and sent it around, and now it's sort of someone tried to then sell it to the media, and the media all said no, turned it down.
Really?
Now the police are
involved.
So
this AFL player is obviously a top bloke?
Top bloke,
is that why no one's reporting on it?
And no, it's been reported, but I think they're sort of holding back. I'm just looking if the name's been put out there, because I think there is. You can find this out in 2 seconds if you go on social media, but I think legally it's... Everyone's holding off.
You're just on the Herald Sun website there. There is a silhouette of a male player. So that narrows it down. Yeah, Ellie Blackburn, you're off
with an overlay of the MCG and a bedroom with the silhouette, like he's just run straight out of the house and onto the ground.
So that's going to be interesting because...
Sordid and grubby.
People trying to sell that on, remember the stuff with, the Richmond medal photo at the end of the grand final, stuff like that. there are significant sort of charges you can get, especially trying to profit and sell this tape. So that's an interesting one.
If this is a consensual sexual act between two adults, it's nothing. It's not in the public interest to know any of this.
The fact that he was engaged in all that's none of anyone's business. In fact, I know we're all very pro people being able to cheat in privacy.
Shout out to my mum who's just started listening this week.
You did tell me your mum has just subscribed to this podcast.
I'm sorry, I swore.
Yeah,
50 cents in the swear jar.
Oh, no,
It's going to cramp your style.
She's got Northern Irish heritage. She can teach us some words.
So anyway, that's an interesting story. That's just developing at the moment, but that'll be interesting if there's charges around that.
What a Titus for AFL footy. If that's the.
I feel like we're in rugby league.
There's a rugby league going. What, a sex act with a woman? God, we dream of that.
A consensual sex act.
Can we?
There's also Ross Lyon we should mention too.
Well, can I ask the question? I think it's on the tip of everyone's tongue. With all of these players in having controversy, will zoning fix it?
I think the other story, obviously, Ross Lyon. So that's sort of gone to the background a bit with all this other stuff happened. Since Monday when I talked about this, he's done a couple of press conferences where all he'll say is a key cornerstone of the AFL's respect and responsibility policy is confidentiality. Therefore, I won't be making any further comment. Oh. And I just want to roll that out in my general life when people say things like
that is up there with the it's in commercial confidence.
Yeah, or before the courts. I'm just going to try that at home. If someone says, "Have you done the washing yet?" Actually,
cornerstone.
Did you smash the car? Under the AFL's respect and responsibility, I can't comment on that. The other one that happened is Justin Langer this morning. So a very busy day today.
Who has he had sex with? Come on.
He's finally been appointed the coach of the Australian cricket team.
Oh, there we go. That's a good story.
And, they've talked about how it's, part of this culture change. Now, one I don't get, he's been appointed by Sutherland and the board, who have not changed since the previous stuff and saw fit to have David Warner as a vice captain. So I don't see where the culture change is coming there. He's also, in his first media conference, said he'd welcome back Warner and Smith and Bancroft, and they're all great kids, I think he said. Now, it's kind of interesting that in this culture change, he's already given them basically a free pass to come back. It's just a weird start to me of... It doesn't seem like it's a left field really out of the previous culture. He was fair sledger, Langer.
Yeah, the Cricket Australia is a notoriously conservative organisation. I was going to choose one of their own, but of all of the ones they've chosen, I think he's probably the best because he's the straightest arrow they've got.
Yeah, that's right. They've got being the key phrase there.
Yeah, and, it's a tough job, That's going to be tough for anyone to walk in to try to fix that broken change room.
Well, you just don't bring Warner in.
Well,
if Warner he
left the WhatsApp group. He's left the team.
Warner won't come back in.
I can't see him playing for.
No, it's and Smith and Bancroft will be forgiven, especially if they play well, because Bancroft and Smith were both seen as, compared to Warner, they're both more liked and seen as sort of victims a bit rather than...
Particularly Bancroft as the junior partner in all that went on.
So that'll be interesting to watch. The other thing that happened is Chad Corns got suspended, the Port Adelaide's runner, for one match for swearing at North Melbourne's Todd Goldstein at Adelaide Stadium on Sunday.
There's a lot of North Melbourne fans facing a one-week ban then.
I was about to say, is this a slippery precedent here, a slippery slope we're on if we're going to start letting...
Don't you love the Cornses, though? They can even find a way to get suspended after they've retired.
Yeah.
It's the sort of people they are. They're wonderful.
Like an X-Men power.
Yeah, it's just quite
impressive.
Amazing. And Port Adelaide have had a record of having mouthy runners. Mark Williams' runner, I think, also got into trouble a couple of times, got suspended for a couple of games. His name escapes me now. He's notorious within AFL circles for mouthing off at players and even getting in a couple of scuffles with the occasional player as well. So Port have always had mouthy runners. And as somebody who is a member of the Runners Union, as I run around in the bright pink for the Saints VFLW team, first game this week against Carlton at...
so you're running for them?
I am indeed.
You traitor. You were running for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I went home to Moorabbin, heard the siren call.
That club is...
And are you going to get... How long till you get suspended?
I reckon about first quarter this weekend, as soon as I get an opportunity. I'm going to...
You and Chad are so similar in so many ways.
So He's letting us all down.
How long does it take to learn to be a runner, Francis? Is it like... arguably, and I hate to disrespect your profession,
Craft.
but is it something you could learn in a couple of days to pass on messages? So this is just we got an idea for a tactic.
Yeah.
The runners aren't allowed to yell at them or touch the players.
Don't
but
touch me.
if we threw in a patsy, if we train up someone to be a runner and then they accidentally punch an opposition player, and obviously get banned for life and never be a runner again. But in that time,
But it's the grand final.
Bulldogs, we get Barry Hall in to be a runner. He takes out, Jack Revolt, just bang.
Yeah.
There we go. Revolt's out. Obviously, the Bulldogs-Tigers grand final that everyone's expecting. And then, would that work? I mean, he's going to get a 1-week ban or something.
Just go out there as a kamikaze.
Yeah, that's it. Kamikaze.
Kamikaze runner.
Yeah, that's a good name for a band.
Dressed in all pink, of course.
Is it hard at all? Like, do you ever, the coach will give you a message and you
all
go
the
to give it to
time.
the player and you can't find the player?
You can't find the
Gone
player.
missing.
The coach occasionally is so angry that you have to try to convey the energy of the message without destroying the morale of the player, which can be difficult. And some players, as soon as you come towards them, have bricks for ears, particularly if they feel like they're being... Even in the age...
Like if they don't want to come off.
They don't want to come off. Even in the age of rotations, most players will still react like 11-year-old kids. Oh, what do you mean I have to come off? Because you can't run anymore and you need a rest.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's great fun.
Do they ever say, I'm not tired?
I'm not tired.
So you're doing it for the VFL Women's
Southern
St Kilda.
Saints, first ever game this Saturday. Come down to
You've adopted your old 1980s name.
Yeah, well, just for the first 2 years.
Where is it? What ground?
At Frankston footy ground.
Oh.
By the way, the Dolphins
I won't be coming
Dolphins,
to that.
yeah.
It's good ground.
I know, you don't leave Northcote. You don't go...
What day is it?
You don't go
Why can't you be a
south of
runner for the Northcote Park Cougars?
Somewhere close.
Saturday morning. Good luck to the mighty Southern Saints.
So anyway, he's been suspended for swearing because they're not allowed to actually interact with players or the umpires at all.
Well, opposition players.
Opposition
It's
players,
hard
sorry.
to-
Yeah, they are.
You've got to play charades.
They got to do it through mime. The power of mime.
You go out there with a torch, you do Morse code. Just flash
Semaphore.
There's been a few runners who
flags.
There's been a lot of runners who have over the years just been smart at taking up positions on the field that block space and things like that. That's sort of often
That was one of Sheedy's great arts.
Yeah, doing that. It is a funny thing, runners, in a way.
Well, the AFL would like to get rid of it altogether. The coaches hate the
Can't
idea
every
of it.
player just have an earpiece?
Yeah, that'd be great.
And play some
No, what they
music?
need is a chip put in behind their ears.
Well, I've suggested that so we can track them.
Yeah.
Which passed out player is this?
Yeah.
Buckley, it's one of yours.
Apart from Chad, the one thing that's dominated this week, apart from all the actual controversies,
The grub.
is the game being in crisis. Apparently, the
We're
game
doomed. Yeah.
never has a sport that keeps going from strength to strength financially and in terms of crowds and TV ratings been on death's door at every moment. But this week, suddenly, the game is apparently ruined. Is this
Bubble football.
Is this true?
No.
Well, all right, that's a boring segment then.
No. I've listened to SEN a lot over the last couple of days. That's the most sensible thing I've heard. It was one syllable. Let's go
Well,
to
I
an
heard
ad for
Matthew
Bataki
Richardson
hams.
actually being really good on this. He was saying on SEN and saying on Twitter, when he was saying, the game's fine, this works through these times. Like at the moment, there's this, Richmond are playing this style, which is like, they try and lock you down and it's like a vice-like grip until you break under the pressure and then they just smash you, right? So that's
And they're
that's
really
what
good
they
at
do.
it. And they're
good.
actually great to watch.
Yeah, and
for
the
that
thing
reason.
about it though is they're all trying to do that, so that will work for a while, like flooding did for a while, and all that. And then someone will figure it out how to get around it. This happens all the time tactically. But
And
they
if
act
they
like
change
it's
the
new.
rules, a coach will come up with a way to use that
right.
to the advantage, and then suddenly it's like bringing in a cane toad to fight the sugar beetle.
Yeah.
and then suddenly we've got cane toads everywhere.
That's right.
So-
What should we bring in next?
Literally cane toads.
You think cane toads on the ground would fix it?
But
And
obviously
you know what?
zoning.
If one of Bomber Thompson's seen, they'd pick the cane toad up and lick it.
There you go.
If I hear zoning again, I am so sick of. Worsfold was very big on this when he was running that laws of the game committee for a while. Kept putting forward zones. They keep putting forward zones. Don't
Well,
these people get?
So in the VFLW, they are playing
I know
the
that. I
congestion
know,
rule.
but I just. the game has been great for 150 years. Like, it's always been complained about this, but that's the nature of the game. And if you have two terrible teams, they will be. It won't matter what rules you have. They're just going to be a group of people in zones not hitting targets.
Yes.
Like, that's the real problem. I'd prefer they'd worked on how do you improve people's kicking.
Well, at St Kilda, we could spend a lot of time on that before we worry about flooding in zones. Please forget about the rules.
St Kilda want to bring a new
skills.
rule where if you hit the post, it's 10 points.
No, we want to bring in a rule that the other team has to wear a blindfold to give us half a chance.
Get anywhere near a target, you know. Is hitting a target against team rules there this year?
It's not part of their brand values.
It's not. It's the new Saints footy. We're trying to find a point of difference.
I don't get how you can go backwards in your skills if that's all you train in. Like, that's counterintuitive to everything I've learned playing FIFA over the years. You know? You get better, don't you? Sometimes you need to go away for a half hour and come back.
Yeah. And it's like playing pool. 2 beers, you're fine. 3, you start to get shaky.
So you think they're drinking too much beer before they go out?
Or not enough.
Would explain,
one or the other.
That would explain everything about the Saints this year. This isn't even a scheduled segment, just the bag the Saints.
This is, Francis, why are you cutting yourself again? Put the Stanley knife down, Francis. It's all right. Think about Arsenal. Oh, God. Oh, no. Think about Boston Red Sox.
Malcolm Blight and Lee Matthews are saying that we should consider starting positions to stop this congestion. There have been things like this before, like the centre square and all those sort of things. So it's not. I prefer that to the zones idea.
Yeah, those two I'll listen to. Like, right, as I said, I've been listening to a lot of SEN about it. And the most
SEN talkback caller Lee Matthews. Whose opinion shall I take into consideration?
The fun thing is, like, I don't know, I think Jared Waitley is really, he's finally he's right at the coalface now of nuffy callers. And he's just finding I was no longer listening to the callers.
Are they breaking him, do you think?
I think he's just, because he usually used to give opinions to everyone. Now he's just sort of going, well, everyone's got thoughts. Thanks for yours. And coming up with new ways to end the call but not offer an opinion. It's just, well, there's a lot of passion out there. And it's great to hear.
Deep breathing. It's nearly midday. Deep breathing.
So the fact that Richmond have worked, I just think everyone's angry because Richmond are good.
So are we blaming Richmond for the demise of football?
Well, that's what people seem to be saying. This idea that, what Richmond did so well in the grand final last year, in the finals actually, and watching it live.
Let's make sure Adelaide didn't turn up.
What they did is they just did this thing where they all worked together to put pressure on the opposition in just a very coordinated, selfless way.
Which is what you want from your team sport. It's awesome.
But Adelaide, you could argue, if Tex dropped a lot of marks, if he'd taken it, would have been. You can break this bubble, but it just takes someone to be very disciplined and actually have good skills. And a lot of the clubs at the moment, and maybe this is more about there are too many clubs and the talent's watered down too much. There are a lot of players playing who can't hit targets. That's always been the problem. So I think that's the bigger blight than the style of football. And, you can't make up for the fact that there's players in the league, in quite a lot of the bottom teams, who can't handball to someone running past 2 metres away.
Yeah, the intensity of all the contests I've seen has been pretty good. The skill level has not been anywhere near as good. And it shows that the clubs are working hard at trying to win games. The execution's been a couple of games.
Yeah.
I've seen both the Anzac games were really disappointing spectacles in terms of the best aspects of Aussie rules. So,
yeah.
But it might also be a phase. It might be
only 6 rounds
5 weeks
too,
in or whatever we're in. But Jimmy pulled the trigger quickly.
The other thing is we keep putting Carlton on in prime time, so no wonder everyone thinks that the game's in worse shape than it actually is, because you're seeing that every Friday and you probably don't watch again for the rest of the weekend.
I'm not sure you were on, France, but Titus and I are campaigning for all Carlton games to be shown on a Tuesday morning pay-per-view. So free-to-air people aren't subjected to that.
Or community TV.
Yeah. Or at least with a rating for people saying or a lifeline. If you see this and this is Ray's troubling thoughts, give Lifeline a call.
Now the A-League Grand Final, we're right in both of your guys' wheelhouse here. The A-League Grand Final is this weekend. It's Saturday night, I believe. It's the Newcastle Jets and the Melbourne Victory. A surprise outcome
Oh, massively.
These two being in here, wouldn't you
not
say?
Newcastle. Newcastle
but
expected.
Victory beating Sydney.
Victory beating Sydney was one of the greatest moments in A-League history because we have struggled to beat Sydney for the past 3 years pretty much.
I think it was 8 in a row leading in.
8 in a row. And every time we would go 1-0 up and then they would win 2-1 or 3-1. And brilliantly, Costa Barbarouses knew that and he missed that sitter early on, hit the post. And then Sydney got a goal to go 1-0 up and we went, we're on here. Here we go. This is brand new area. We're losing early on. And then, and I was watching it with some Victory mates and they, when we were just talking about with the dying seconds of regular time going, how are we going to stuff this up? Surely we're not going to stuff this up. And then a few of them started to believe. Idiots. And then, of course, Terry Antonis kicked it in for his old club. And
he couldn't do much. He had to play at it, and was really he couldn't have time. He couldn't have hit it more sweet into the roof of the net.
Yeah.
But the way that he redeemed himself with that late goal was superb. Muscat's satisfaction of beating Graham Arnold, because I've got no doubt that Kevin's ambition is to be the Socceroos coach, and I'm sure he would have had someone representing him in those discussions. Obviously, Graham got the job. Would have been enormously satisfying for him. Arnold afterwards saying that he thought Sydney FC was still the greatest team the A-League had ever seen, which was, fascinating for him to claim that, even though Brisbane Roar won 3 or 4 titles and 2 Premiers plates in there as well.
Yeah, well, it'd be good to put Graham Arnold Sydney up against Postecoglou's Brisbane Roar in some sort of hologram Star Trek style match.
Why don't we just do it on FIFA? Titus versus Danny.
Now we're talking.
There we go.
Let's have it. Rematch.
Now, a big thing, this sold out in minutes, this game, really, the grand final. It's being held up in Newcastle.
Great sports town, Newcastle.
It went on sale. It's at McDonald Jones Stadium, and it went on sale. The most expensive adult ticket for the decider was $150. Now, since then, on the resale website of Ticketmaster, so it seems like a lot of people have bought tickets only to sell them again. Tickets are going for as much as $1,277 for a single adult ticket, and the cheapest on the resale site was $383.
So that's disgraceful. So I was speaking to some Novocastrians yesterday who did buy tickets on the Sunday, and you could buy them because I don't think that they were well versed in the demand that was coming for this, that you could buy them in groups of 10, so you could buy 10 tickets at a time, each transaction. So somebody could go in, buy 10 tickets, go back in, buy 10 more. And, there was no attempt.
So only if you needed 2 tickets, you buy 10 and throw the rest up.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that there's a legal resale site.
Which is just outrageous, the Ticketmaster.
Well, this is like in America. We were talking about this before, but in America, you can get a ticket to anything if you're willing to pay the money.
Yeah, on StubHub.
Yeah, and there's a few other resale sites as well. But yeah, you can go and I went to the Stanley Cup a few years ago, and literally the day before I arrived, and the last game was on. So 2 days later to get into the Stanley Cup. So suddenly the Stanley Cup's announced in New Jersey and I was in New York. It was in 2 days. And I was like, oh, I might get going and seeing that. So I just went on to StubHub and you could buy pretty much a ticket sitting anywhere I wanted. It was just how much you were willing to pay.
How much did you pay?
I think about $30,000 or something.
He's still paying a mortgage on that.
No, I think it was I paid about $600 or something. But for me, I was like, I'm on holiday. I'm never going to go to a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
When am I ever going to get the chance to go to Stanley Cup?
Who was playing the
again?
Devils and...
It was the Devils and the Kings.
Did you get dressed up like Putty?
Yeah. That's all we know about the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah. No, it's great
Gotta
fun.
support the team.
Who won? I know the Kings won the series.
The Kings won the series. I think the Kings won 1-0. But it was a great... The Ice Hockey Live is amazing.
And it was also New Jersey as well. It'd be like a whole bunch of Sopranos.
Yeah, it was a bit like that.
Why are you hitting it over here? Hey?
So it was good fun, but that's the thing. Do you want Australia to become like that, where you can get tickets to anything, but the prices are insane.
There has to be some way of allowing people to resell tickets, but there's got to be some mitigation.
But reselling it...
You can't make profit off it.
Like reselling it... So what's interesting is the way StubHub works a lot, which I actually think is interesting, is people will buy, they'll buy season tickets.
Yes.
So you can put that up. And so say you've got tickets to this Saturday's Saints-Melbourne game.
Oh, they'll be in hot demand.
And you go, well, I'm not going to go, but I've already bought the ticket, so I'll put it up. And I put up for $7 or something. So, that's where it works, because people can get tickets to low demand games at a very cheap price, and the people who aren't going at least get some money, some of their money back. They're not trying to make a profit. So that's the difference between where you can have a resale thing where it's like or let's whack. You know, if it was $150 and they're selling them for over $1,000, $1,200, almost $1,300, that's just that's just gouging.
This is the game in Newcastle. Imagine it was in Perth. I mean, coffee's like $10 there. Imagine how much a grand final ticket cost.
Who wins? I think Newcastle win. But
Victory have probably already played their grand final.
No, I just think the Victory have always struggled playing in Newcastle, even in their best days.
Yeah, that's true.
Under Ernie, they always struggle there. My instinct is that Newcastle will win, and I would love to see Ernie pull this off because they finished, stone medalists last year to go and win the title. Will be something special. But I still think Victory will be confident that Barisha will produce something that could win them a grand final because he just does it time and time again.
We are good at being pantomime villains.
Yeah, he's Victory. The best at it. So,
what TV is it on? Is it just on Fox?
It's on Fox on Saturday night.
Surely Channel 1.
Channel 1.
Channel 1?
Yeah.
They're still showing it?
Allegedly.
Channel 1 for the one person that watches Channel 1.
Yeah, that's to say.
Well, and interesting, just on this ticket pricing, I noticed that no one from the FFA has commented, and that is because their team got knocked out on Saturday night.
Cricket Australia called in ethics experts.
Now, who is this? Is this like when I read this, I'm picturing like a finishing school lady. Just when one tampers with the ball, always use one's left hand.
Oh no, I agree. So it says here that they brought in the not-for-profit ethics centre. I like how they're not-for-profit. Now this ethics centre was
not one of these gouging ones.
Yeah, the for-profit ethics centre.
The Rape and Pillage Ethics Centre.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you can pay me for whatever ethics you'd like.
I'll tell you anything you want to hear.
But the ethics centre, remember, didn't they run the James Heard Tracy Holmes interview?
Was it the same?
They hosted that.
It used to be the St James.
Yeah, I think it's the same
Simon
one. They've changed the
Longstaff
name.
and his team there.
So they're going to go and they're going to be part of the panel review of this culture following the ball tampering scandal in South Africa. On the panel is Rick McCosker, who's leading the investigation, and also on it Shane Watson, George Bailey, Ashes winning skipper Rachel Haynes, and also have our new coach. So that's kind of interesting that they've got all those people involved. Pat Cummins is also going to be involved, as is Tim Payne, which looks like Pat Cummins could end up our vice captain based on that. It's sort of weird. I just still can't get past the fact that Cricket Australia are going to be the ones overseeing the same people who led to this are just going to suddenly do this. Now,
it is a new culture, but it is just cultural misappropriation of the previous culture.
Well, the funny thing is the Ethics Centre did a scathing report into the AOC not that long ago.
Australian Olympic Committee.
Yeah. Right. And you look now and they've still got John Coates there and all the bullying stuff that happened. And so, these are often, not surprisingly, done more for
show.
For the show. Like, I don't think anyone's really believing this is going to change massively. Basically, the word's going to go out, don't sandpaper things on camera.
Is Scott Cam part of that?
Scott Cam's going to be teaching them. Now, you mentioned the World Snooker Championship. What did you love about this bit?
Well, I just love it when it comes around.
Because we all love snooker, but I've never played it sober.
That it's held at my favourite sports venue ever, because it's got the coolest name, the Crucible Theatre. So they play it. They play at the Crucible, which
now that's a play about witch trials, isn't it?
It is.
So they're just naming a theatre after whatever play was on there first.
So I love it.
So it could have been at the Spamalot Stadium.
It's much better than Manly's Lotto Land, but they're playing at the Crucible. I love a sports venue with an epic.
It does sound pretty
epic name.
Like if you lose this match, we're going to burn you.
You've got to throw in the water in the Tyne and see whether you float on it. And John Higgins, who has won the world title for the fourth time.
Now this isn't Hurricane Higgins.
No,
it's not even related to him.
No,
disappointing.
One. No, he's more in Bomber Thompson territory.
He's God rest him.
Yeah, but also the fact that I still love a sport. Can it be called a sport? Can it be called a sport if you're wearing a bow tie?
No.
Can you be playing a sport if you're wearing a bow tie?
Do the crowd have to be quiet?
Yes.
Then it's not a sport. That's my rule on it. Tennis is not a sport. Golf is not a sport. If you can't do it without people cheering or talking, then you're a hack. There you go. There
Harsh words. Getting to the AFL, round 7.
We haven't talked about footy enough.
We haven't talked about footy enough.
Love it.
Friday
this is the preview. I got a new thing this week, gents.
Oh, here we go.
I've done all right in the tipping the last couple of weeks, and it's when I've not thought about it. So I haven't even looked at the fixture at this moment. I know the Dogs play the Suns.
Are you using the Magic 8 Ball?
No, I'm just gonna vibe it off you two. Okay. Let's do my tips.
Vibe it off.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, this should be great.
Who plays on Friday night?
So Friday night we got Geelong and
Carlton,
Geelong at GWS down in Geelong. Not a bad Friday night game compared to what we're used to getting.
Better than last week.
How dare you? How dare you? I saw the Bulldogs and the Blues play. I was there live, and it was
terrible.
No, I got a lot of beer. It was awesome.
Did you?
Not convinced about the Giants as yet. They're sort of muddling their way through.
The only thing I'd say about the Giants is I don't think they've got out of first gear, and they're 4-1 and third on the ladder.
Yeah,
and I saw them against Brisbane, and they barely did anything, and they still won.
And how do you make sense of Geelong's uncharacteristic fade out in a final term at home? Although the Swans have beaten it the last 3 times they've played.
Yeah, they've got a lot of defenders out at the moment, and they've got Adelaide out as well.
Yeah, I was talking to a Cats fan, and his theory was whenever they've had Ablett, they've lost. So they threw that game with Ablett out, so Gary wouldn't feel like he was the jinx.
Oh, that's nice of them.
That's the team building. That's the culture that Bomber Thompson brought in.
My memory serves me right. Last year's Giants Geelong game down there was a good one, and the Giants pushed them all the way. So I'm going to pick them to win that.
The Giants?
Yeah, I am.
Well, I'm not. It looks like Ablett won't be back this week, and I don't think Harry Taylor's he's getting close, but I think he's going to be back. So, yeah, I'm not sure about Geelong, really. They haven't been impressive. In previous years, they've been a bit like this, and then they sort of just suddenly they pull a few in a row out, and they're in a prelim all of a sudden.
Watch out here, Titus. There's been one Geelong fan a bit annoyed at me for my comments about Geelong on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember your name, but
he obviously really struck a chord with you.
But he seemed a nice guy. But
what were they annoyed about?
Oh, he just
or something I can't remember.
He wanted because Geelong. I said Geelong were rubbish and they'd lose, and then they won. He said, "Can I get an apology?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, but only if you come to my show. I'll give it to you in person." He never showed up.
Yeah.
So I'm tipping Giants.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The Giants haven't done enough to be super impressive, but, Geelong have question marks over them.
Last weekend's fade out was a bit of an eye raiser, definitely.
Especially where they got smashed in the clearances all game, but especially in that last thing.
Should be a good one, though. Looking forward to it.
Well, it's
decent Friday night footy.
Saturday we've got the Bulldogs and the Suns at Ballarat. Are you going up to Ballarat? Beautiful tropical Ballarat.
No, I'm at the Sydney Comedy Festival
Sydney
at the Enmore Theatre. We've only played one game at Mars Stadium or Eureka, whatever you want to call it, and we lost. So still yet to win at our regional fortress.
It's freezing.
It will be. And last few times we've played, Gold Coast has been up in Cairns, so we've gone one extreme to the other.
How's this for the Gold Coast? They've barely been at home.
Yep.
And then they just keep having to travel around the country because of the Com Games. They couldn't be at home. They spent 2 weeks in West Australia.
Yep.
They're going to China later in the year, and now they're going to Ballarat.
They are top of the ladder for velocity points.
Oh, I was about to say,
is there a direct flight from Ballarat to
They're like grey nomads, They're just doing a trip around the country. It's
in reverse. They're going south for the winter.
It is amazing, though, isn't it?
It's a punishing regime.
If you're Stuart Dew, you're just going, seriously, can we be a real football club at some point?
Yeah.
Well, he must be thrilled that they've actually been really competitive for lots of that, given that they're
the last 3 weeks.
But it's tough. I think we cut them some slack.
They're homesick.
Oh, aren't you being nice?
They haven't been to Splish and Splash once.
I'm telling you, it's the hottest ticket in town on the Gold Coast. If you go on Ticketmaster resale, the tickets to Splish and Splash.
Do you know who's a big fan? Noddy Nobody.
Noddy Nobody.
I'm going to tease you more about that.
He's the CEO.
Yeah. Do you think So, are we tipping the Bulldogs, Danny?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Man, we're awesome. Top boy's going to kick 10.
They're all off to Sovereign Hill afterwards.
Yeah, that's right. The excitement.
A bit of colonial cosplay.
That's why we're playing Gold Coast there, because last year we played Port Adelaide there. They went to Sovereign Hill and thought it was the future.
Imagine if they
there we go.
do it all in ye olde colonial,
that's a good idea.
Like Pirate Day, have to speak like a pioneer, a gold prospector.
Oh right, yeah. So, well, the other problem is the AFL, because it's an expansion team. They find all their nuggets for them and just hand them over. Whereas the Dogs are given an old ice cream container. Good luck.
Essendon Hawthorn at the MCG. Essendon were woeful last week against Melbourne. Terrible first half, and Melbourne sort of went up a gear, and Essendon did not go with them. Is this the line in the sand match at the MCG for the Dons? They'd want to turn something around.
They were terrible on Anzac Day too. So
they've just fallen off a cliff. Everyone thought they were going to be half decent. There was a lot of talk. I didn't quite have them up this high, but they were going to be like top eight.
Yeah, well, they played finals last year, so everyone expected with the ins that they'd brought in, Sard and these guys, that they were going to find another gear, but it's just been woeful.
I can't see them beating Hawthorn, not unless there's a severe turn of.
And when does that become a serious problem for John Worsfold?
Well, yeah, the line in the sand could be them playing hangman, and that's the beginning of the noose for old Woosha.
Crossing out that those 2 years.
I hope they come good, because the Essendon fans are losing their tiny minds, as we saw that fan chatting to Max Gawn. They're almost as depressed as St Kilda fans, because St Kilda fans at least don't have that sense of entitlement, whereas Bombers fans are not used to this level of prolonged unsuccess. And I hope Jakey Stringer does well. I hope McDonald Tip and Woody kicks a bag. I hope Hawthorn loses, but I'm tipping the Hawks.
What about next in the twilight game on Saturday, West Coast Port Adelaide?
Oh, where is that?
That's at over in Perth.
You know what I say?
Stadium.
No Chad Corns running the messages, no Port. Simple.
I got to say, West Coast have looked good. I mean, they're not getting a lot of attention over here in Melbourne, mainly because they've sort of won over there mainly, and no one really knows to judge them. But I thought...
Did you watch the Derby?
I did watch it.
It was a good game.
It was a good game. It was probably the best game on the weekend. The fact it was buried on a Sunday afternoon on Foxtel, where most people can't watch it, which seemed a bit of a shame for a big matchup. But the Eagles look... I think the Eagles over there are back on track. Whether they can win on the road is always the question. Port will probably
be fired up after that elimination final loss to the Eagles last year. This will be a big revenge game.
That'll be a good game. I'll pick the West Coast Eagles to win that one at home. They're going to be... I think they've settled in nicely to their new digs, and Jack Darling played a fantastic game last week. Nat Nui's only going to get better. And the players that they've brought in, Willie Rioli, and if they get Flying Ryan back in there and fit, I think they've actually had some serious talent add to their team. And the young bloke who played in the middle last week, his name escapes me, he's only his second or third game, and looked really good with ball in hand as well. So I think they're shaping up as finalists for sure this year.
Sydney, North Melbourne on Saturday night. I'm actually going to this game because I'm speaking at a function.
Are you in Sydney this weekend?
I am.
Well, I'm in Sydney this weekend. Why don't you pop down?
People are going to talk.
Watch out, lockout laws.
That's right. So if people want to invite us to their homes after the lockout, just contact us directly.
Sly Grogan.
I can't see... It looks like Buddy's not going to be playing and Hannonbury's out too. So it looks like North, if they're going to have any chance. But North sort of... I think North are decent. I just don't think they've quite... You think Ben Brown's better than Tom Lynch, don't you? We had this debate on the podcast, and you continued it on Twitter later on.
Well, because I said that, and then he kicked like 5 against Hawthorn in the first quarter. And so every time I say it, he fires up. Ben Brown, you're awesome.
I like Ben Brown a lot. I still think Tom Lynch is a better player overall. But anyway, let's have that be our running battle. Our running battle.
And
I think
maybe on the final episode for the year, we could get Ben Brown and Tom Lynch to arm wrestle.
To settle it once and for all.
There we go. Yeah.
Play a game of checkers to sort it out.
Adelaide v Carlton's the other Saturday night game at Adelaide Oval.
Move on.
So
look away.
Are Carlton ever going to win a game?
Not this week.
No.
There'll be one.
When do they play St Kilda?
Yeah.
There's a massive show.
Do you know who they'll beat? They always beat, whenever Carlton and Essendon play, if one's doing terribly, they'll always fire up and beat the other. And so Carlton will beat Essendon at some point this year.
You know how when your team's really, really crap is when you have it's our grand final game. When you've got no chance of playing finals, and today's the day in round 13.
Yeah.
Cold, wet day.
So. A few of the Dogs players have told us that they always make a big deal of we always want to beat Richmond. And that's been not when Richmond were crap. It was just back from the days of Richmond just poaching players and Terry Wallace, Nathan Brown, that sort of era. So
hang on. They're upset that Terry Wallace got... No, I'm just saying... Why would you be angry with someone for taking Terry Wallace from you?
Because remember Terry Wallace was good for us for a couple of years.
That would be something I'd be thanking. So I'd be sending him a bottle of champagne every year on the anniversary date. Thanks for getting rid of Terry. God. Sunday, Richmond v Fremantle. That'll be a good game. Fremantle have been better this year. Fife looking a lot better.
Well, if anyone's likely to knock Tigers off, it's probably Fremantle because they've got them a couple of times right at the death. Remember last year they did it. They did.
It's the same player.
Yeah, it's Chris Mayne who's kicked a couple.
There we go. Let's do it again.
After the siren goals.
God, that was because there was 2 weeks there where the Tigers lost after the siren to Freo,
and then GWS in the final seconds.
Yeah, God,
and we all thought we were in for a normal Richmond year.
Yeah, felt right.
It did. That was the last time the universe felt normal to me.
So this is the early game at the MCG on Sunday.
This is 1:10, so that'd be a good game. Then we've got St Kilda v Melbourne. Talking of not good games at 3:20 at Etihad Stadium.
Oh, really?
I could see.
I'm surprised they didn't put that at the MCG and try and make it a double header so fans would stay around.
You got to say St Kilda, if they're ever going to get a win at Etihad Stadium, Melbourne. I know Melbourne have started to win a bit at Etihad Stadium, but looking at this, Jesse Hogan's got injury concern, Christian Petrarca's got injury concern, and
making excuses
and
already.
It's Melbourne. Well,
and it's Melbourne is a pretty good excuse.
Yeah. So I don't know. You'd think Melbourne would win, but
I'm picking the Saints.
You are picking the Saints.
Do you pick them every week?
No.
Okay, well, there we go. Good work.
No. I think that they've got to respond to last week. Oh, they're pretty good for long periods last week.
Do you think they're going to remember how to play football this week?
Just remember Tim Membry just can get the blinkers off and work out where to stick. So that goal that he missed in the second quarter last week was...
Well, Melbourne's shown ability to go long periods without scoring, which is what you guys are going to need.
Could we be scoreless draw at half time? Saints have averaged 7 goals in the last 4 weeks or so. It could be outside a 15-goal performance in the first game against Brisbane and a 10-goal draw with the Giants. We've kicked 7 goals in the remaining games. So
what about it? Can we go to bet on aggregate more goals in the A-League Grand Final than St Kilda Melbourne?
Will the Saints in Melbourne collectively kick more than 100 points on the day?
The last game is Brisbane versus Collingwood up at the Gabba. Thankfully, that's buried on.
Oh yeah, I got a point about that. I think Mason Cox should be kicked out of Australia.
Why?
Because he is making me like Collingwood, and it feels wrong.
What do you mean he's making? Why is he making you like Collingwood?
It's kind of exciting to watch. He takes good big grabs and occasionally a few clangers. So you're like, oh, what are we going to see here? And he's actually, and combined with Jeremy Howe, it's Collingwood are fun to watch at the moment. I feel horrible.
Get out. Seriously.
See you guys.
We need a team meeting here.
Yeah.
An intervention.
Seriously.
I know, I feel horrible.
I'm panicked that Collingwood could actually be okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they're amazing, but, I think they're not terrible, and I was really enjoying them being terrible.
Would you say, at the moment? It looks that way, doesn't it?
The form this year's one all over the shop, but
the last month has seen a fairly consistent upward trend.
I'm not sold yet on Collingwood. I think the bar was like last week. They lost to Richmond. What was it, by 43 points?
Yeah,
I think
it was a bit of a blowout in the final.
But still, everyone went, there was one article that said Collingwood basically almost won. And I'm like, it's a 43-point drubbing. That was
But they had no one on the bench. Everyone was injured.
I know, but it's
there were factors that you'd consider.
You still lost by 43 points.
But think of it from Melbourne's perspective.
We lost by 46 points, and it was like, we should shut up this club and never have it again. That was the reaction to that.
That's our reaction most weeks. But
yeah, that's been my reaction for a decade. So, I don't know. I'm just not as... look,
we're not going to find
Richmond
out this
last year proved that you can be completely wrong about these things.
What? Us wrong about our predictions about footy?
But you could see Collingwood go, okay, but you could also... It's not impossible to see that this is a bit of... They've had a good run of form.
Do you know what this is, Francis? This is
panic.
This is stage 2, denial.
This is... I said this the other week. I'm in full flight panic about Collingwood.
Yeah.
Because they were on such a wonderful trajectory, just each year getting worse, and now suddenly it's like...
Who would you least like to see vindicated? Eddie Maguire or Donald Trump?
Oh come on.
Well, I don't... least likely. Well, I guess... what would Donald Trump be vindicated about?
I don't know. Ending nuclear proliferation on the Korean
Well,
Peninsula.
actually surviving his term.
That
would be pretty... I think I'd rather see a Collingwood grand final than Trump do his whole term.
I'd prefer a nuclear war than a Collingwood premiership.
That's what I was looking for.
But, that's just me. Collingwood fans wouldn't want it anyway. They don't want other people to be happy for them.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, so maybe that's what I'm doing, Collingwood fans.
Stockholm syndrome.
Oh, you
No, I'm getting under their skin. I really like watching you guys. What an exciting group of young men.
I think you're going to be amazing. Well, on that note, I'm going to get out of here and maybe have a drink or something after that because I shower after saying nice things about Collingwood. Can I plug? You got anything to plug?
Yeah, I
do.
I did the beat test on Fox Footy a couple of days ago, and it's a lot of fun.
Were you on there with the Ox?
I was on there with Ox. Yeah, we had
a
great time. And but they repeat that ad nauseum on Fox Footy. So over the
was
next
Ox
couple of
funny?
days,
Did he land some?
Yeah, and beat me. It's already been to air. His knowledge of demons was more than my knowledge of bulldogs, which is because I stuffed up.
Were the questions hard?
No, I just stuffed up one. They asked who were the two Bulldogs premiership captains, and I said Eastonwood and Jack Collins, who kicked 7 in the 54 grand final, wasn't the captain, it was Charlie Sutton. Also, I said Ellie Blackburn, the sexist, but they edited that out. So, misogyny rules.
But you do need some level of footballing knowledge.
On the beat test? Oh, yeah. I mean, we kicked their ass but then they edited it. That Dave Thornton doesn't keep score until the end.
So blaming Dave for not helping you win.
I've already put a hit out on his family.
And so you're doing more, though?
I haven't got nothing's booked in. I think there's only 5. It's still on trial, that show. So that's why I'm giving the plug. Please watch it, folks. It's a lot of fun. It's finding its feet, get its ratings up, and I'd love to keep it going because you two should go on it. It's brilliant.
Oh, I don't know. We don't know anything about football. Anyone that just listened to that last hour is going, no. You just said they need knowledge. My actual.
What is your tree of knowledge? What is your favourite?
I love sport, watch it all the time, read everything, but my mind just doesn't work in the way that I remember. Like, I can't remember who won the whatever, this year, it was the Norm Smith. I have to always go look it up. I just don't have that.
You're such a free spirit, Titus.
No, it's just...
Such a millennial.
My memory just doesn't remember things like that, I admire people when they'll sit and I'll chat to them and they'll go, I remember this game in 92 and so-and-so on the wing and they had that goal from here and they did this. And I'm like, vaguely.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, I will vaguely remember it and I often have watched it, but I just don't have the mind that works in that trivia sense.
Working on
I remember the first time I came around here and met Titus's family. He goes, "This is my wife," and then he whispered, "Ask her name. I forgot."
All the kids were in name tags.
Plus, I didn't have a wife and I was in the wrong house. But apart from that, it was fine.
But how good a bloke are you? You still invited me round.
On that note, we will be back next week. Danny in Sydney.
Yes, this weekend.
And those Melbourne, the 6th of June, my show, tickets going on sale today, and the 7th of June in Adelaide. So if you want to come along, love to see it. Sold out all the ones down here at the Comedy Festival, so I'd get in early if you want to come along. See ya.